Join us for a toast as we journey into 11 of the most curated, decadent home bars across the country. From a Moody tiny nook to a leather-upholstered foyer bar and one that's filled with antiques, these spaces have it all. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Before today's episode, click the join button below to support all of the storytelling we do on this channel. Our growing community of members help to directly fund more videos so we can capture these extraordinary homes from around the world. So join today to receive early and exclusive access to new Homeworthy videos. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Attached to our dining room and connected to the main foyer is our bar. This space is fun because it's where we typically have somebody serving drinks when we have a party. It's also where people can come gather drinks when they're at the table. We're having a dinner party. It has also some fun displays of some of the silver I've inherited. And every single one of these glasses has a story. Some of them have been very thoughtful gifts of friends who know I love to host. Some have been fun finds, and some have been just passed down. But we love having various glasses for different occasions. This, for instance, this little kind of martini coupe was given by our neighbor next door in our old house. And it was just a piece that was special to her. And she had 6 of these, and she knew we loved to host. And she thoughtfully came over one day and gave them to us. And it has meant so much to us. We use them often and think of them. Then we also have some fun knock-around items. So these are actually acrylic, and we use them by the pool. So I think it's fun to, by the pool, not always only have styrofoam. You can still have a fun fancy glass rim with tahine and throw in some tequila and some other fun items like limes and make it either a ranch water or a margarita and not have it be quite so blah as a styrofoam glass. And then this piece is kind of fun because it's hung on this beautiful slab of marble. I told you I loved her stone. And this piece was just a nod to kind of one of those old speakeasy bars in New York. I feel like they all have either really cool antique mirrored backs or a really cool stone, and then this bistro shelving, which I think displays but also is lovely in itself and kind of industrial, but not too much. I love this. Hanging it was kind of a thing, but my guys were awesome, and they cut through the slab beautifully, and it's just fun to look at. I love this space. I love this space namely for all the memories that it has of conversations where we'll sit in here, pour a glass of wine, and then sort of get to be authentic and hear somebody's heart in this tiny little space.
I think what is really great about this foyer is the little bar we have as you walk in. I've upholstered the bar in a beautiful purpley burgundy leather with studs. It feels great right when you enter someone's house to be offered a drink. I've even collected some beautiful barware with all my crazy collections from live auctioneers and all sorts of different places. And it just represents everything about me and what we like to do, and makes this foyer feel like its own space. Some of the favorite barware I've collected are a little oil can, so you can have the perfect amount of vermouth in your martini. I even found a sterling silver syringe to put vermouth in, again, for your martinis. We love to have some stirs. I'm a big collector of Elsa Peretti. This is one of her beautiful martini glasses that she designed back in the day. And I think it's so much fun to put it all together. My favorite coasters are the Mrs. Strong's paper coasters that says, "This is your last drink." Very successful towards the end of a party to pass these out. And on the other side here, we have some vintage barware at the top. And my favorite glassware I had little bugs engraved on all the different stemware. So every stemware has a little bug on it. But again, more vintage barware over here, and I just think it looks fabulous all together.
So this is not an Irish pub, as you can well guess. When my husband's like, I really want to build an Irish pub in the basement, let me tell you what, it was a cement, dirt basement, and I did not see his vision and didn't appreciate it either. But then I got my head around it and I was like, you know what, that could be really cool to have something down there and really make it a place to lounge and hang and party by the pool. And so we dug out a bunch of dirt and made this little basement. It's kind of weird, but it's kind of awesome. I've got this big giant bar that houses anything you can possibly imagine. But the best part about, I think, the whole space is the kegerator, which not only has beer for the beer drinkers, but also has rosé on tap. Let's have a glass. Left for lager, right for rosé. Cheers. So we actually call this bar Frenchie's on the Waterfront. It's named after our dead French bulldog, Mr. French, who still lives with us in our hearts. And it's on the waterfront because it's by the pool. So welcome to Frenchie's on the Waterfront. So you'll definitely notice that there's a totally different color palette down here. And since it's a basement and the ceilings are pretty low, like quite a few places down here I can touch the ceiling, and there's lots of ups and downs with ductwork. And so I decided I'm just going to paint the whole entire thing, every surface, this sort of peacocky blue, a shiny peacocky blue. I didn't lacquer it, I didn't go to that expense, but just a glossy blue that's everywhere. And you can see like lots of corners and edges and things, but it pulls the whole thing together to me and makes it feel very intimate. And in the summer it's cool, in the winter it feels very welcoming. It really just works and I love it. And you can also see a lot of other color that I put in the space. I really stuck with jewel tones and darker colors, lots of oranges and goldenrods and purples. They don't necessarily even go together, but in my mind, they were all of the sort of the same value, and I thought that they would work together, and it really all came together beautifully. You've probably noticed as we walked around that I've got a lot of art collections on the wall, and I love to group things together that are sentimental, but sometimes when you're starting a gallery wall like this, you don't have everything you need, but you know you want to do something, right? And so I started this wall with this poster, which is a vintage poster I got from my husband for his birthday because he's from New York. And it's a KLM poster, which is my initials, so I thought it was kind of cute. And it was the colors of the basement, even better. So I started with that. And then the rest of everything that I had hanging here in these spots was all art that I'd got at IKEA. But it was like the sizes and shapes that I wanted. And then over the years, what I've done is remove the piece of IKEA art and replace it with, like, for instance, this is something that I got in New Orleans where my son is in college on a weekend visit. But this, and this are still IKEA pieces that I have yet to replace. But as time goes on and I find the right things that fit there, I just pull those down and put something new up. So that's a great tip when you are building a gallery wall. It doesn't have to all start with something precious or everything have to be perfect. It can change over time as you find the things that you fall in love with. Let's look over here at the lounge area, which we spend a lot of time lounging down here. So I fell in love with a hotel in London called the Dean Street Townhouse. And it had a lot of this sort of navy peacock blue and also golden velvet and beautiful brown leathers. And I was like, I've got to have that. I got to figure out how to get that into my life. And so when we started building this space mentally, I was like, a velvet banquette. And we have people in here in wet bathing suits all the time. And We eat down here all the time, have dinner parties down here, and it looks great. And this isn't a performance velvet or anything, it's just a velvet, and it's really performed well. And I've decided, you know, just to let it all go mentally. It's okay. Like, what I really want is people to be comfortable and to live in the space and not worry about it. So the first time someone sat down in the red bathing suit, I was like, and then I was like, it's fine. You know, this home is here for us to live in, and that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna live in it and love it. So here's our beautiful velvet banquettes with some silk velvet pillows that bring out the same colors of the walls. A fun little llama from Anthropology brings it all together. And really, it's just a wonderful space. And I've got friends that have little kids who love to come and swim at the pool too. And they love this little spot right here. Look at these little vintage chairs I picked up. And again, trying to mix in something vintage with something new so it doesn't all feel like you picked it up at the same spot on the same day. But I loved the color. I thought the jewel tone of the purple was beautiful. It wasn't something I'd planned for, but when I saw it, I was like, you know what, that's gonna work down there. And the kids love sitting at this little low table. They pull this little stool out. Again, y'all, some more animal print. I can't resist. I told you it's in every single room. But they sit here and they feast like they're kings and queens, thinking that this was made specifically for them, which I just love. Here is the most prized possession of my children in the home. If the home were to burn down, I think they would come and grab the PBR sign, which we actually got from a local bar restaurant here called Cow Tippers when it was closing for good. It was a sort of an establishment in town. So when it closed, we had some inside scoop and we were able to scoop this up and bring it home, and they just love it. And I just sort of think it sets the tone for the whole space as a place that you're here to have fun, relax, and have a good time and hang out with your friends with the king of beers. No, it's not the king of beers. It's the blue ribbon. You know what? I'm not a spokesperson for PBR.
One thing I do love about this house, it's interesting when we entertain, people come straight back here. This is where the bar is, and that's the first thing people want to do is have a drink. So this room becomes the most crowded, packed room in the house. But it's great because everybody, if people don't know each other, they end up they're so closely tight together that they end up all having to talk to each other, which is really a good icebreaker, actually.
As far as the renovation of the house is concerned, there were closets that divided this apartment from this apartment. So when we removed the closets, we actually ended up with a nice little inner foyer here. So this is the bar foyer. And if you look at these columns, I had eyed these columns for years, and they also came from Mac Maison. They're 18th century Italian, and they look like, they just reminded me of creme de menthe parfaits that I had as a child. I probably teethed on those creme de menthe parfaits, and so that's one of my favorite after dinner drinks over ice, so I thought it would be perfect for the entrance of our bar.
Now, why don't we go into the bar? So as I think I mentioned earlier, the house has a duplex. This was a bathroom, and we did not need to have two bathrooms across from each other. What's the point? We had plumbing, so why not have a real bar? And boy, I love this bar. It is a fun room. It's a little over the top, but why not, right? So Quinn, actually, we call this our eBay ancestor. He found this before steel, and I love the portrait. I think it's just beautiful.
I like the waistcoat.
Me too.
The waistcoat is really
good. The blue and white stripes.
Yeah, our house is actually full of eBay ancestors, is what I call them, because you know, when you move from a 9-foot ceiling house to a 14, you suddenly have to expand your art and make it fill the space. This also came from Walker Ronaldson, the chandelier. It's a Baccarat chandelier, and we purchased that from him.
And sometimes when it comes to collections, you can see we have lots of them. We like cocktail shakers. This one's beautiful, the green one. I love that one. And Quinn, one time, we went to Paris and we went to the flea market there, and then he started collecting barware, and now it's everywhere.
I call them bar toys.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, a lot of these are like Aesop's fables, and you can use these for cherries or for olives.
The one I like the most is this. What is it, a dragon? It's a sailboat and a corkscrew.
It's a Viking.
Oh, it's a Viking.
Ship.
Yeah.
And this ice bucket, I love. This commemorates the age of exploration, you know, on ice, you know, the polar areas. So there's a bear and a little explorer. Well, I like creme de menthe over crushed ice, but that's after dinner.
Yeah, that's after
Martinis, I guess we love, and
champagne, and we like to have interesting champagne glasses. I don't know where you found these, but these are beautiful. They're sexy.
these are really fun because they're 1930s. I got these at Worthmore Antiques from Gayward. And you drink and you think you're done. If you hit your head back just a bit more, you end up with a big splash in your face. So we always have to warn guests
people
that this part right here contains some champagne also.
Yeah.
I love this silver. This is from the first class part of the Normandy, and the designer Luc Linnell designed these pieces. So I've been collecting these over the years. Ice buckets, and you'll see in the dining room more Luc Linnell. We have some knife rests that are from the first class cabin in the Normandy.
This is a great apartment for parties, so I have a really cool space set up for a bar. I have 9 different kinds of tequila. I drink a lot of tequila because I'm diabetic. I think it's healthier, as far as drinking goes. But we do entertain a lot. At least before the pandemic, I entertain a lot. I have a lot of parties, usually 100 people in this space, and I think the space looks best when it's filled with people, actually. I also want to show you this painting by a kid I used to babysit for. I mean, he's a grown up now, but he was a kid when I babysat for him. His name is Justin Robinson, and he did this painting for me 10 years ago. And now he just did his first show last year. He's really become a big artist, and I'm very proud of him. There's actually a picture of him here. Justin, when he was 3 years old, and now he's 32, and he's a fancy artist. He's really, really talented. I love abstract art, and when I heard that he was an artist, I talked to his parents, and I was like, I need to see his work, And it turned out that, I love one of the things, and I have it. Another thing I've had for a long time is this bust of Caesar. It's actually from my old store. I don't know why, but nobody ever bought it. So I've had it in my apartment for 15 years, and it goes with me everywhere. Last year, it was in the Hamptons at a show house. It makes the rounds. It's plaster. I also love this little John Darien plate. I'm a big John Darien fan, so I have a lot of John Darien, you'll notice as we walk through. So I have a lot of art in this space. I love this painting by Audrey Stone. One day I went to Brooklyn, to Bushwick, to all the galleries, and I discovered this gallery that had these really cool paintings. I love anything that's a rainbow, and I had to buy something. So I bought this Audrey Stone. This poster I got at MoMA. I'm a big fan of Yoko Ono. And, in the 60s, she and John Lennon had that, bed-in where they were, protesting the Vietnam War. And I was like, I have to buy this. And I had it framed. War is over. It's kind of my vibe, really. Anything 60s and 70s, I'm obsessed with.
So let's go and check out my bar. So the kitchen is upstairs in the house, which we still haven't gotten up there. And we wanted to have a little space that if we had takeout or if we wanted to make a drink, we didn't have to go upstairs. Plus a wet bar is just really fun and great for a party house. So this bar has a really beautiful piece of onyx on top. I got this from a local stone source, and it was a remnant. It was the last piece they had, and it fit perfectly here. So we really love that. We've got some sipping alcohols here that are good just over a rock. So also in this room is this light box photograph. This is a Julia Schulman project down in LA. Julia Schulman is a very important architectural photographer, and my husband's an architectural photographer. So this is really meaningful to him. And we're actually right next to his office. So it's a perfect placement for it. So I have a lot of glassware in the house, and this is just a small selection of it, but these are some of my favorites. I've had these forever. I think they came from eBay. I don't have all of them anymore because we've broken a few, but they're just really cool, super elegant. This is the perfect glass for a last word. It's a really elegant coupe. It's fun. It's weighty. I just really love it. And then these glasses actually are super cool. Love them. Little dots to match my light here. And I got these at Anthropology. So, you know, it just goes to show that you don't need to get everything super high end. You can mix high and low. And these are some of my favorite glasses.
We put this bar in right before the pandemic, and it has gotten a lot of use. We have a lot of storage in here. I love this color. This is Bancha by Farrow and Ball. I love this marbleized paper. And my friend Susan did it for me. And it's just been such a fun spot. Sadly, I really can't drink wine anymore because it gives me a terrible headache. So most of the time I'm just drinking tequila and soda with a little lime. I love these napkins. There's a store in Georgetown that made these for me. We did a party that everybody kind of joked was like the last big hurrah before the pandemic. And we had a party for all of our neighbors. And so this is our zip code on it. And it was in late February of 2020. So I sort of laugh whenever I see these napkins and think about that great party. And one of these days I'm going to have another big party. Maybe I should have it now that our house is all cleaned up.
We're going to stop and you can take a sneak peek at my bar. It's small but mighty. We spend a lot of time mixing drinks, having wine. I decided to do white oak in this area just to warm up the space, and I feel like it's a great transition from the kitchen. Some of my favorite glassware are these pink little Italian glasses that I got from one of my favorite stores here in Dallas, Ellis Hill. They are perfect for a little margarita, a little ranch water, but again, I love Pinot Noir, so I'll drink my wine out of these. My most recent purchase of stemware are these pink, a little bit of lavender, Estelle champagne flutes. I needed some champagne flutes for a party that we were having, and I fell in love with this color. So we need to pop the Vouv.
So now I'd love to show you my bar. It's right off my home office. And the cool thing about this is this piece used to be my checkout stand at my shop. And so my husband really loved the piece. And he was like, you have to find a place for it. And so voila, place for it. And so this houses all our barware. We have a little stool here. This is a vintage piece that I had painted in this color, not to match anything here. It just happens that it does because I buy things I love and I paint things in colors that I love. And so this little roll top serves as a little serving area, I guess you can say, for our glassware. And it has like a tortoiseshell top. And so the interesting part about this little area is this piece of art. And so I found this at an antique market, and it had a different picture in there. I think it was a print, but I bought it for the frame. And I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I didn't have a place for it. And it was in my garage. And then we were having to clean out the garage. This piece fell over, but we weren't even touching it, but it fell over and the glass broke. And so my husband was taking the glass out and discovered this woman behind it, this black woman behind it. It was like she wanted to be seen. Like she was saying, hey, I'm behind here. And so I thought that was beautiful. And I said, oh, let's put the spirits with the spirit. So this is kind of how this kind of area happened.
So I called this area of my living room the bar area. And obviously because there's a bar here. And I think when you're living in an apartment in the city, some things you have to think about are, storage, space-saving solutions, and obviously style. Those are all S's. I actually just came up with that. And this bar really fits that perfectly because the height of the back bar here lets me display a lot of my cocktail glassware, and it's also narrow enough that it doesn't take up too much of the living room space. And the funny story about this is I purchased it from a seller on First Dibs who had sourced it from Miami in the 50s, I believe. There's this really cool woodwork here and then bamboo texture. And we happened to be up near where the seller was in Connecticut. And so we actually stopped by her home and met her, saw all the other pieces that she was collecting and selling, and then ended up being able to take it back in my car. And so it was really, really cool to be able to meet the person selling us the piece and hear the story about it, hear more about her and how she collects. And I also love that, like, my boyfriend and I picked out this piece together. So it, fits the space really well. And then looking at some of the pieces on the bar, it's obvious it's also very precarious, so I have to be careful when I walk behind it. I sourced this vintage Gucci glassware, which is a splurge, but well worth it, from this antique show in East Hampton. So there are these tumblers and they come in these little cozies that are supposed to keep the drink cold or warm. And it came with a thermos as well. And this print is so 60s and 70s. Absolutely love it. Had to keep it somewhere where everyone could see it. And then just have a bunch of other vintage glassware throughout and some other random objects. Like this was from the hood of some car. And I think I found this at Melee Mercantile, which is a really great vintage store. Have some books on entertaining here. I have these little mezcal shot glasses from my most recent trip to Mexico City. So again, just really mixing everything. And then of course the practical things like liquor to make drinks. Oh my God, so they are actually coolers for a bottle of Veuve. And I got those on eBay. And obviously keeping in the theme that I love art, one is a tube of paint and one is a pencil. So they're fun and quirky. This was from my boyfriend's childhood bedroom, this smoking, it's called Smoking Labbit, not Rabbit. And then this is a melting disco ball that was made by Kelly Worsler in collaboration with another design firm. And so because of that, we call this our disco tiki bar. So obviously the space is already tight here, but we did need a side table for the couch. And so something fun I found was this Milo Bogman table that actually is tiered and has this moving piece here. I love flowers. I grew up with my mom always having flowers in the house. And so Allison, before you came, I had to go to the florist and always a big display here, something tall that leads up, brings your eye up to this painting we have by Mark Majori, who's an artist that my boyfriend found and who I really love. And then just from Home Depot got this museum style art light that helps illuminate it. And so we have this little moment here. And then I actually have some vintage architectural digests that I got from my friend's store called Shop Abode on Elizabeth Street. And so again, another nod to my love of interior design. And one of my most prized possessions actually is one of my favorite artists, Yoshimoto Nara. This is an ashtray that no one is allowed to use and is just for display purposes. It says "Too Young to Die," which is a little sinister, but there's something about the characters that he creates that I just feel like I have this connection to. They're tiny and angsty, and I don't know, something about it I love. And so one of my art pieces here, and I actually got it on eBay. I don't know how much I paid for it, maybe $100, and they resell for maybe 10 times that now. So cool investment, and that's why nobody's able to use it.
Our family room connects to this bar. And in the past, this is where there was an angle wall with an opening looking into the kitchen. And that wasn't something that I wanted. So I was able to design this bar, and I did it with bronze mirrors so it would have a reflection and make the space feel more open. And we just did this like little seating area here next to the fireplace where we can also just connect to the family room. Just like I said, opening up more the spaces and making all this area be connected and more fun for everyone. It's a neon art piece from Tracy Emin, which is a British artist. And when we got it, our first daughter was about to be born. So I love the message and I love this artist. So we just felt that it was perfect to get it for us. Something very special about this British artist, Tracy Emin, is that she happens to be a close friend of Elton John, who keeps one of the three other pieces of this art piece. So one of my favorite things in our bar, especially when we get together with friends and we're celebrating something or just before we go to dinner, is using our champagne flutes, because they're a collection that every glass is a different style. So it's just fun to have everyone come over and kind of pick their favorite glass and, you know, sip their champagne while they're here. Part of what we love this bar is when we're entertaining and we have all of our friends over, we can just stock up here with drinks and some hors d'oeuvres. We even use this sink and fill it up with ice and have wine or champagne bottles. That makes it so easy for everybody to serve their drink.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.